Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I present Trueman Goba to you, a remarkable engineer who, in the apartheid era, was incredibly disturbed by the reality that black people were not able to study engineering. This man went out of his way to create a dispensation for young black aspirant engineers to pursue their dreams of becoming an engineer and making a contribution to infrastructure and other development in this country. Trueman has been a leader of the engineering profession, and through his example has been a role model for many South Africans. Here is a man who has never forgotten that at the end of the road, it is important to develop the aspirations of young people and continues to do so. We salute Trueman for his remarkable contribution.
I'm Trueman Goba, chairman of Hatch in Africa. Now, we grew up during apartheid, of course. We lived in a place called Ketomena in Durban, and we were in the new section now called Chesterville in Ketomena. But what made a lot of impact on me also was the community that we lived in. The people that my parents drew my attention to as role models. Obviously, there were no black engineers in the country, but I took a lot of learnings from looking at our teachers, doctors, lawyers in the area. Some of them became very involved in the community issues. Some of them are very much well known even today. I graduated in 1979. Actually, in 1980, I finished the studies in 1979. At UKZN, I studied civil engineering. I wouldn't say there were fond memories. I enjoyed meeting new people where we stayed. It was the medical school residences, and a number of people like Malihapuru Mahoba, for example, we met during those days when I was there studying at the university, but I studied at the white section of the university. Even the current Minister of Health, for example, came there years later, his deputy, Joe Pashla, and people like that. We had a good time, lots of hard work, lots of distractions, but just for us as students, but it was a good time. So typically that's what my life is about. The role models were people that as a young person I met, whether at church as a child or in the community, as I said. My friends and I at the time, we were interested in watching very few people in those days who would be a doctor, for example, what car he drove or whatever, teachers. Those were the only professions at the time. Those were I didn't have role models inside my family. I came from a very poor background. I'm very fortunate that parents could sacrifice everything for me to get education, even when they had to get help from other members of the community. But that talks to Ubuntu that we live in our country. Education is most important to me. Actually, I must mention I was a member of the National Planning Commission, and one of the big parts of the report is about improving capability of our people, and education has a big part to it. It's because the more you learn about life around us and how to do things, about how we've come to be where we are, and what makes things tick and what causes changing, whether it's natural things, whether it's economics, whether it's growth in number of people living in cities or whatever. Education, I'm talking most in general terms, makes you become more aware of what's happening, so that your attitude and the decisions that you make become better for you. You can arrive at better solutions for your own life, but also for the community around you. Receiving the UJ Ellen Kuzwayo Award has had a positive impact on me, because it reminds me of the community that I grew up with. Without the leadership in our community, the role models, even though they were not in engineering or or surveying, some of the fields that I've studied later, they made a lot of impact on me and the rest of the community. You never realize what your achievement does to the rest of the community.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.